This photo, reportedly taken near Salt Lake City, Utah, offers another intriguing piece of potential Bigfoot evidence. At first glance, we see what appears to be a large, dark figure nestled among the trees and undergrowth, its size and form seemingly inconsistent with known local wildlife. The dense vegetation and shadow play create an eerie, compelling atmosphere, with the figure partially obscured by branches and leaves. The subject seems hunched, massive, and covered in dark hair or fur, with what could be interpreted as a prominent shoulder and head, both turned slightly as if aware of the camera's presence. From an analytical perspective, the image falls into a classic category of alleged Bigfoot sightings, the blurry, partially hidden figure in a wooded environment. While many researchers often discredit such photos due to lack of clarity, it's worth noting how often sightings like this happen in fleeting, high-stress moments. Few people are prepared to capture crystal-clear evidence when faced with something potentially unknown and intimidating. However, we must also talk about pareidolia, the brain's tendency to find familiar patterns, such as faces or figures, in random stimuli like foliage, shadows, or textures. It's entirely possible that what we're seeing here could be nothing more than an optical illusion created by overlapping branches, lighting variations, and our own subconscious desire to find a humanoid shape. The low resolution and lack of movement-based context make it difficult to rule that out completely. That said, what makes this photo compelling isn't just the shape, but the apparent mass, symmetry, and posture that many claim are consistent with Bigfoot descriptions across decades and continents. There's also the fact that this image was taken in a known mountainous and forested region, ideal terrain for a creature like Bigfoot to thrive while remaining undetected. In conclusion, while this image stirs the imagination and hits many key points of known Sasquatch behavior and morphology, we must remain cautious. It's a fascinating possibility, but without additional frames, video, or physical evidence, it sits in that gray zone between compelling mystery and nature playing tricks in our eyes. While the forester was walking through his lands, he was checking the forest for the presence of strangers who could enter the property. He saw a figure in the distance. He decided to yell at the man to get lost, but something stopped him. By turning on the camera, he managed to capture it. When he returned to his hut, he decided to review the footage. After watching this, we can tell you. The subject in the video appears to walk with a heavy, deliberate gait that's consistent with reports from classic Bigfoot sightings, Edangy, the Patterson-Gimlin film. It seems to have long strides and moves in a fluid but powerful way, not like a human just lumbering around in a suit. The figure seems tall and broad, with disproportionately long arms that swing noticeably as it walks. This is a common feature in Bigfoot eyewitness reports, arms reaching down to the knees or lower in a hunched posture. The head appears slightly conical, lacking a visible neck, again in line with known descriptions. The creature doesn't appear startled or hurried. It moves with calm confidence as if it's used to not being seen. That's classic Bigfoot behavior. Elusive, non-confrontational, yet not panicked. Yet not. While camping near the border of the Umatilla Indigenous Reservation, a group of friends endures a terrifying night as eerie laughter echoes through the forest, followed by deep, guttural howls in the distance. The unsettling noises appear to move around their campsite, growing increasingly loud and unnatural.
These guys are braver than me. Oh no, it's right over there. No!
Later, locals hint that the disturbance might be the work of Bigfoot, or perhaps something even older, rooted in the ancient legends of the land. While walking through the area, Tom, the person who filmed the video, spotted something unusual near a railing and decided to record it. He later wrote, "Here's a video I took as we were leaving. I'm not exactly sure what I captured. At the time, it looked child-size, so I assumed there were adults nearby. But after reviewing the footage, that's the only figure I can see. Someone might want to investigate that area further." Feeling unsettled by what he'd filmed, Tom returned to the location to take measurements. He noted, "The bottom rail reaches my knees and I'm 6 feet 4 inches tall. I couldn't physically fold myself down into that position. The bottom rail was about 20 inches above the walkway." At the time of filming, the small figure didn't immediately raise any concerns. It looked like a child. But upon closer inspection of the video, Tom realized there were no other people around. The figure appeared to be sitting still and possibly watching him and his family. Here's what we observed during our analysis. The figure seems to be covered in varying shades of brown, including what looks like a tan face. In some frames, the head appears dome-shaped, something often mentioned in sasquatch sightings. The subject is seated cross-legged, low to the ground, and appears to be leaning slightly on the railing. We're not claiming this is definitively a juvenile Bigfoot, but considering the posture, body proportions, coloring that blends into the environment, and Tom's inability to recreate the position, it certainly raises questions worth looking into. Ohio has been a frequent source of Sasquatch reports, and this video fits within that pattern. So far, we've looked at some impressive Bigfoot videos and photos. But what about actual tracks? Well, that's exactly what we've got here. On February 13th, 2025, a group of people took to the internet after experiencing a bizarre encounter they couldn't quite explain. The strange event actually took place earlier, in January, while they were hiking along the floodplain trail in a region known as the Pioneer Area, believed to be in Ohio. While trekking through the snowy wilderness, they stumbled upon enormous human-like footprints. Keep in mind, this was deep in the woods, far from where anyone would be wandering barefoot, especially in freezing temperatures. The footprint was long and stretched unnaturally far back to the heel. The toes appeared very human-like. For scale, they placed a walking stick and a glove next to the print. It was about half the height of the cane, and if we assume the cane was the typical 3 feet tall, the footprint would measure roughly 15 inches or more. While it's not impossible for a human to have feet that large, it's definitely uncommon. What makes things even more intriguing is that they also discovered a patch of fur lying in the snow nearby. There's no clear indication of what animal it came from, but it looked odd, and the fact that it was found so close to the prints only adds to the mystery. Could they have stumbled upon evidence of Bigfoot in Ohio? The state is known for its rural landscape, and has had countless Bigfoot sightings over the years, so who knows? There might be more out there than we realize. This eerie footage was captured by Igor, a man living in the remote Siberian forests of Russia. His home, isolated and surrounded by dense woods, is no stranger to the typical sounds of the wilderness. However, the past few nights brought something entirely different. Strange, unsettling growls emanating from the trees near his home. While Igor is accustomed to hearing the usual noises of forest animals, these sounds were unlike anything he had ever encountered. On this particular night, the growls returned, louder and more persistent than ever. Determined to uncover the source, Igor grabbed his night vision camera and ventured out into the darkness. What he captured that night would leave even the bravest among us shaken. As he stepped into the pitch-black night, Igor steadied his hand and activated the night vision on his camera, hoping to locate the source of the terrifying noises. Then, he saw it.
Иди отсюда!
The footage shows a shadowy figure just beyond the tree line. Igor called out, his voice breaking the eerie silence, but the creature didn't respond. Instead, it stood there, watching him from the darkness before retreating back into the trees. At one point in the recording, the creature can be seen sitting in the grass, his gaze seemingly fixed on Igor. The unsettling part? It appeared to be watching him clearly, as if it didn't need night vision to see. When the figure seemed to creep closer, Igor retreated to the safety of his home. What he encountered that night remains a mystery. Since then, there have been no updates, only lingering questions and endless speculation about what lurked outside his door. If you found this encounter chilling, prepare yourself for what comes next. While walking through his neighborhood early in the morning, a man decided to film strange noises coming from the forest.
Did you hear it? See it that time?
The waveform analysis reveals several notable acoustic patterns, including sudden spikes in amplitude and low-frequency hums, characteristics often reported in alleged Bigfoot vocalizations. What stands out most in this recording are the intermittent howls, again wood-knock-like impacts spaced irregularly throughout. These are not typical animal calls like coyotes or owls. The howls appear deep, long, and modulated, sometimes wavering in pitch in a way that suggests a powerful lung capacity. The waveform's peak amplitude hits the maximum allowed digital level, indicating extremely loud bursts, which could support the idea of a large-bodied creature producing these sounds. Interestingly, researchers and cryptozoologists often associate Bigfoot with specific audio signatures: deep, guttural howls, wood knocks used for communication or territorial signaling, and even mimicry of other wildlife. The Sierra Sounds, a famous set of alleged Bigfoot recordings, share a similar profile to what we hear here. Strong low-end frequencies, sudden bursts, and a non-human cadence in the vocalizations. Though definitive proof remains elusive, this 2013 West Virginia recording contains elements consistent with known Bigfoot audio reports. Whether it's an unknown primate or a highly skilled hoax, the eerie nature of these sounds taps into something primal, something that makes you think twice before walking into the woods alone at night. This fascinating image, reportedly taken in 2019 by 2 hunters in the rugged wilderness of Idaho, captures what may be one of the most compelling pieces of Bigfoot evidence in recent years. At the center of the frame, atop a sunlit hillside, stands a dark, bulky figure with unmistakably humanoid proportions. The slope is steep and littered with rocky outcroppings and dead trees, suggesting a remote and relatively untouched area, an ideal setting for an elusive creature, like Bigfoot, to roam undetected. What immediately draws attention is the figure's silhouette. The broad shoulders, conical head, and hunched posture are all traits frequently described in eyewitness accounts. The subject appears mid-stride or in a semi-crouch position, indicating movement and potentially reacting to the presence of the hunters. Notably, there's no visible clothing, and the texture of the figure seems to match that of matted fur, catching just enough of the low-angled sunlight to reflect a subtle sheen. The image quality is reminiscent of analog film or an old digital camera, complete with scratches and natural degradation that add a layer of authenticity, while also leaving room for skepticism. This isn't a polished HD capture. It feels raw, unplanned, and rushed, just as one would expect from a real encounter. Given the remoteness of the location, the conditions under which the photo was reportedly taken, and the figure's morphology, this image demands serious attention. Whether this is a hoax, a misidentification, or actual evidence of Sasquatch, it certainly adds weight to the growing archive of sightings emerging from the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest. The footage, dated February 29, 2012, shows Nathan and his young son walking peacefully through a quiet forest. But then something changes. They both stop dead in their tracks, clearly spooked by something just up ahead.
You don't see that?
I don't see anything. What is that?
You see it?
Yeah. What is that? Gosh.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
The camera captures a tall, dark figure in the distance, his shape massive, his posture unnatural, and its movement too smooth to be human. It's draped in what some call a robe, but to me, it looks more like dark, matted fur. The low video quality makes it tough to pick out details, but the size and presence of that figure are impossible to ignore. You can hear the fear in Nathan's whisper and the confirmation from his son that he sees it too. That's not acting. That's raw, real fear. They back away quickly, and the camera gets shaky as the tension builds. You can feel their instincts screaming to get out of there. Even though the clip is short and blurry, it hits hard. It's not just about what you see, it's about what you feel. Some skeptics say it could be someone in a robe or a prank, but I don't buy it. There's nothing staged about their reaction. You don't fake that kind of terror. To me, this isn't just a spooky video. It's another piece of the puzzle. Another moment where the veil slips and we get a glimpse of something that's not supposed to exist. Call it Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want. But I believe that's exactly what Nathan and his son ran into that day. And after watching this clip, I wouldn't blame anyone for thinking twice about heading alone into the woods. In this intriguing photograph taken deep within a wooded area, we see what appears to be a figure partially obscured by the surrounding trees, highlighted with a yellow circle. At first glance, the shape blends naturally into the forest, but on closer inspection, it reveals a distinctly humanoid form with a hunched posture, thick limbs, and a bulky, fur-covered body. The figure seems to be either crouching or mid-step, with one arm extended downward and the other possibly bracing against the trunk. The lighting and shadows in the image give depth to the surroundings, yet the figure itself remains in a partially shaded area, adding to the mystery. The coloration of the creature matches the bark of the trees, a trait commonly reported in alleged Bigfoot sightings, suggesting natural camouflage. The proportions of the limbs are also worth noting. The arms appear long and muscular, and the legs seem robust and bent at the knee, hinting at a powerful primate-like build. There are no obvious signs of digital manipulation, though the resolution and distance leave room for interpretation. Is this a trick of light and shadow on a tree trunk? Or could this truly be a living entity, perhaps even the elusive Sasquatch? As always, context matters. If this image was taken near known hotspots of Bigfoot activity, or in areas rich with indigenous lore, such as the Pacific Northwest or tribal lands, it adds credibility to the claim. While this photo alone doesn't prove the existence of Bigfoot, it certainly adds another compelling piece to the puzzle.